I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.
And it's time once again
to recommend things.
Are you going to recommend a small planet?
I'm going to recommend 2 handfuls of pudding.
Oh, ew.
As it turns out, that's not the right hand grip for pudding.
I was going to say, I don't think...
Like that.
Oh, is that how you hold pudding?
It's you got to cup them. So
how do you juggle pudding?
It's very messy, and I think you don't.
The correct way to juggle pudding is to not juggle pudding. Vince,
your mother will be very upset with you. Why are you living in her house?
What do you recommend today?
Today I am recommending, I can't believe I got one, I'm kind of excited. You guys are going to think I'm a total goober, but I love it. I got a Ghostbusters Ghost Trap.
Now which version is that?
This is one of those costume toys that came out from the cartoon show. Okay,
I thought that was the cartoon show version, because I've seen some that are differently colored than that. So I was wondering which one that was.
It's, they do have some movie replica ones, but those things actually look like the ones from the movies. They're black and gray and yellow and yada yada, and they look like they're made out of, you know, found parts, kind of like the movie does. These are straight up just toys. There's little wheels on the bottom, there's a belt clip, and it's a really interesting, very simple design. There's no electronic parts, it's just a tube and a pump to open the doors. And I think that's so simple and genius, and I've always wanted one of these guys, and I finally have one.
Well, it would be dumb for it to be battery operated, because after all, it's not like that thing had like a sound effect or anything that made, really. I mean, unless you wanted to try to give it the sound effect of like the ghost going in it or something.
I mean...
But that seems kind of pointless.
Yeah, and there's also, you know, lights that shine out of it when in the movie. So I suppose, you know, you could have it battery operated, but, you know, this is fun enough for me. It's not a particularly long cord, but it's designed for a child, so that's why I'm like, yay, you guys can think I'm a goober, because I have a something that's straight up designed for a kid. But
so
I love it. It's got my nose. What do you recommend today, Cat?
I'm watching your brain cells deteriorate. Today I'm going to recommend a book called I Am Not Spock. This was famously, or in some circles infamously, Leonard Nimoy's first autobiography, written in 1975. And this is actually a first edition I just recently picked up. I got really lucky and found this. I've actually been looking for a first edition copy of this for a really long time, and found a really nice copy. It's not in perfect shape, but it's not falling apart, and that's really great. You see these things on eBay all the time for 25, 30, 35, 40 bucks. And, you know, in paperback, and I think there's a hardback, maybe? Although I'm not sure. I've only ever seen it in paperback. But anyway, I Am Not Spock, like I said, is somewhat infamous because a lot of people who never read the book assumed that Leonard Nimoy's whole thing was that he was just complaining about being too associated with Spock. That he wrote this book because he was disenfranchised and he was bitter about not being able to find the kind of caliber of work that he wanted after playing Spock in the original series, which is just not true. That's really not what this is. And I had heard that for years and years before I finally read it. Admittedly, I haven't read this in a few years, so I mean, I'm a little bit rusty on this. I can't, I'm not going to say a whole ton about this just because it's been a while, but I can give you kind of a basic rundown of it. When I picked it up, I really expected it to be angry. I thought it was going to be pages and pages of Leonard Nimoy saying, you know, I'm more than this character, and how dare you not look at me like a person and just looking at me as the character I played on television. And keep in mind that, again, this is 1975. This is early enough that this kind of phenomenon was very new, with actors being so closely associated with a character. And it's not that it hadn't been done, that it hadn't happened before. It has certainly happened lots of times. And you know, it's something that Vincent Price would talk about, how, you know, he would get typecast a lot, not because he was known for a single role, but that he seemed after a while like he was just doing horror and just playing monsters and that kind of thing. And you know, he was an actor of the stage and wanted to be taken seriously and wanted to do, you know, serious stuff, and still enjoyed doing that kind of of stuff, but you know, he wanted to also be able to play some cerebral things. And I think Leonard Nimoy was very much that same way, and saw Spock as a very cerebral kind of character that he got to play, and he is. And there's a lot of things in here where he talks especially about season 3 and about how those scripts started getting a lot more dumbed down in his mind, and how they weren't doing the caliber of work he felt like they were doing in the first 2 seasons, and he didn't think the show was worthwhile unless it had something to say. And there are a lot of really interesting reprints of letters, both from him and to him by various important people in the business, producers on Trek, where he would try to change things and get letters back from people. There is a series of correspondences between Leonard Nimoy and Isaac Asimov in this that are definitely worth reading, and a lot of this is kind of this metaphysical exercise of Leonard Nimoy trying to sort of, kind of debating with himself. And I think there might even be little sections where he's talking, where he's having debates back and forth between him and Spock, although I don't remember if that was in this or in his second autobiography, I Am Spock, which I also own. That was published in the mid-90s. But anyway, he definitely, this definitely is an exercise of Leonard Nimoy just trying to figure out where the character of Spock plays in his own mind and in his own psyche, where he somewhat wants to separate himself from Spock, but he recognizes that character became such an important part of him, both in pop culture and also just in his own head, that it was something he kind of invented from the ground up. A lot of the ideas that became the Vulcan philosophy came not from the writers of Star Trek, but from Leonard Nimoy himself, and he realizes that the character of Spock is kind of part of who he is, internally, intrinsically. And it's fascinating, and you know when you listen to Leonard Nimoy talk throughout his whole life, I mean he's a very metaphysical kind of guy. You know, he likes to look at things on a below the surface kind of level. You know, he likes to figure out what things mean, and it's a fantastic read if you can get your hands on it. I should have done some research. I don't know if this is available in like an audiobook or not an audiobook. That would be fabulous. I don't think it is. I don't think this is available in like a in like an ebook kind of place or not. I hope that it is, so that it's easier for people to get their hands on it, because like I said, this is very rare. Not super rare, but it's pretty rare. It's rare enough that I haven't been able to find it anywhere but online, and just got lucky and randomly ran into it. I found it at a vintage stock here in Kansas City, and they didn't know what it was and what they had a $2 price tag on it, and I was like, yoink. So anyway, I don't think I was so jazzed when I found this, and I don't think anybody there had any idea what they had. But anyway, that's I Am Not Spock. Read this. It's absolutely, in the words of Spock, fascinating. So anyway, that was maybe more long-winded than I meant to be about that book, but
that sounds terrific. An audiobook by Leonard Nimoy of his own autobiography. That'd be great. I would totally be behind that. Same thing with the Stan Lee autobiography.
Cool. Well, a lot of people have done that. I mean, a lot.
I love that.
I know that George Takei did it with his. I've listened to his autobiography.
Yeah, but Leonard Nimoy has a cooler voice.
Oh, George Takei has a great voice, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to begrudge that. That's true.
Oh, the difference between George Takei's voice and Leonard Nimoy's is Leonard Nimoy has a really interesting voice. George Takei's voice makes me makes me want to go to sleep. It's so soothing. It like lulls you into a sleep-like state. But anyway, I actually kind of wish, because we know so much more about him now since he, came out of the closet like 10 years ago or whenever it was. I almost wish that George Takei would come back and write another autobiography from that perspective, because I'm sure there was a lot of stuff that he wasn't saying when he wrote the first one. You know what I mean? Since he hadn't revealed that. But anyway, well, everybody, thanks a lot for watching us recommend things, and I don't think our recommends could be more different, Vince.
I think mine's more cerebral. That's all I'm saying.
How do you work this thing? Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Vince.